6 o'clock. How do you feel?
Elated and really pleased, and the opportunity to have put together this show and pulled it out of a suitcase, except for the traffic cone, a ready-made that I purchased online and had shipped to John Mark Edwards of the Market Space. It's just a great pleasure, and I feel quite elated about it. Can we do this again? Because that thing is completely...
The following video is a brief conversation / interview I had with Brandon that took place on May 2nd and 3rd, 2016 at my studio / petite exhibition space called Market in the Silver Lake section of Los Angeles. Brandon had called me a week or two prior and said she was going to be in LA for a few days and asked if she could set up a schematic installation at my studio. She said the work fit in her carry-on luggage, would be very economical to construct, and most importantly, create some perspective regarding the ideas she had been wrestling with regarding Marcel Duchamp, the feminist. Of course, I was intrigued, but I had just mopped the floors and put on a fresh coat of wall paint and was prepared to hang my own work. I suggested she could have the larger main area, but would it be okay if I kept some of my work in what I call the sitting room? She was fine with this arrangement and arrived in early May and subsequently created an installation entitled Given, a live essay. The following short video captures Brandon in a totally immersive state of mind, full of Duchampian facts, declarations, and spontaneous observations. Please excuse some of the echoey audio, but enjoy a clip of Brandon in her element, talking about Marcel Duchamp in the context of her own artistic inclinations.
This is called occupational therapy. and that's after Orozco. This field is a collaborative work, and it's called, I forgot its name, Rolling Juices Minefield. And these are the suspension studies. They're ways to look at things. And very early work is Ethos Logos Mythos, an assisted ready-made. Obvious reference here, it's the human condition. There is a groom.
Did Duchamp have an opinion about Van Gogh's work? Do you know?
No, actually, I don't think he ever really mentioned it.
He never mentioned his work? Because it's interesting that you have that, overlaid that.
Yeah, an assisted ready-made, and these are also assisted ready-mades.
Mm-hmm. So when you say ready-made in the context of these paintings, you found these, before you did the text overlays, you found them, where did you find them?
Sort of a department store going out of business.
I got it.
I basically collected a bunch of these very poor reproductions of a Renoir bouquet. I researched it, the actual bouquet does not have much blue in it. So that's a very not accurate way of presenting that, which makes it a particularly interesting piece because the original doesn't look like that at all. And the Vanity of the Soul, take 4. Use a Rembrandt as an ironing board. And I suppose I should sort of iron a little. But the idea of taking a note from the green box and actually realizing it. I've done these Vanity of the Soul a few times, and there's always a hanging element, actually. So in a way, it's a mistake to explain too much, I'm afraid. I think the horizon is important. I think the cloud is important. The vanishing point, a kind of perspective, and we could just take this as metaphoric for our lives. And
how so? What do you mean?
Well, the horizon is like what is in my landscape and what is on the horizon. Where will I end up with this? The maple seeds are cool. And so I think that's kind of it. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it because I'm not really able to say it.
Why? You're so knowledgeable about Duchamp.
Well, let's go over here because this is actually part of this show is the launch of this written matter. And the project for Perpetuum Mobile, Enchanted Domain, is represented here just by this binder and a narrative and some sketches. But the idea is to have a room in which there are freestanding French doors. And the French doors are represented by little models over there. I'm actually having models built. So you see a kind of sketch of the large glass, and you realize that you would enter this space. A vanity of the soul would be behind the boiler projections. There's a cloud in the room. The cloud is important. It's made of mist. So when you enter this space, which is an actual space, you would encounter a number of elements. It's a very large immersive situation. And Change Chance is the essay. It's a series of essays. And so if you think about changing chance, what is that? Like you change it all the time. And so the essays are art historical works that take elements of Duchampian history and re-examine them and represent them. Part of what I'm doing in being a Radical Duchampian is trying to make a level playing field in this area, because I think that Duchamp was a feminist. I think he was the inventor of zero in aesthetics. The good, bad, and indifferent is one of the most critically important arguments. And there are elements like the art coefficient came up in the Creative Roundtable, which in fact was something he and his brothers and many of the artists at the Cubist group were talking about, how the audience completes the work. And so what's interesting about that is that it's part of relational aesthetics, and relational aesthetics is one of the texts that I have as an audio recording here. So it's kind of just like about, how everything is interactive.
So do you know if Duchamp is taught in art schools or universities like he was like when we were going to school, or where is his stature these days?
Well, this is part of my project, is to revise his stature. I don't know how he's being taught, but I know that a lot of really important historian critics have said that Duchamp was a dirty old man, but he wasn't. And that's part of what I'm doing, and filming people who knew him and who worked with him, and also saying, what is it he actually said? So one of the 40-page essays is a selection of texts of his actual statements and interviews, rather than Rosalind Krauss asserting a lot of really weird stuff about Lacanian psychology, which is just her invention. And I'm taking down some of the things that very famous historians have said, because they invented it and it's not actually accurate.
Was he considered a dirty old man because he dealt with sex and eroticism in his work, or the double entendre and all of those implications? Why would he be labeled like that?
I think people are confused about his character, and I just threw that in because I think a lot of people think that he was kind of a gigolo. He lived with no money, he gave French lessons, he sold some artwork. People who don't grasp the character of Duchamp think that he was just kind of I don't know how to put this. When you read art historians writing about Duchamp, they say things like, the large glass, which is La Mariée mise à nu par ses célibataires mêmes, is about a failed sexual encounter. Duchamp insisted on making sex part of the objects that he made. This was not explicit in any way. It was really an invention. So he was a much subtler intelligence in the field of art and aesthetics than he is considered to be by most people who don't study him. And what his contributions are so important for everyone that I'm not doing this as a form of worship. I'm doing this as a way of saying, this was one of our great historians, one of our great aestheticians, but he wouldn't like to hear that. He would say that's bullshit, just let it go. He would let people make the most ridiculous statements about his work and not criticize them. He wouldn't say, you're wrong, that's not what I intended. This is the subtlety of Duchamp. He was like a Zen master. And the Zen argument is there. Tristan Tzara in 1922, in one of the statements about Dadaism, actually says he cites indifference as a virtue, and he talks about Buddhism. So in a sense, The later references to Zen and Duchamp actually do have an earlier reference, and that would be Dadaism. Duchamp was a committed Dadaist. What is it? Don't ask, I don't know.
Drop some more. Yeah.